Jason DeParle is a New York Times reporter and the author of the book A Good Provider is One Who Leaves, which focuses on one family's story of working overseas. He spoke with us from his home near Washington, D.C. In the book, DeParle follows the story of the Komodos family from Manila and what the ability to work overseas and send money home has meant for that family over generations. One topic he discusses is how important the ability to live and work overseas has been for women in many countries, offering them an independence and status that may not be available to them at home. Such opportunity, however, may come with its own cost.
One of the things that really surprised me about following these nurses coming to Galveston, Texas, was how much it complicated their relationships with their husbands because their status rose, their income rose, and the men who came with them usually lost income and status. On the surface, that would seem to be like an empowering thing if you're a woman, but it was emotionally complicated for them because they didn't want resentful husbands. They wanted their husbands to be strong and role models for their kids. So they were constantly in this kind of bending over backwards to protect the men's well-being sense of themselves. I think if you add a virus into that, you're just adding a whole nother level of pressure. I think a lot of the people are going to be losing their jobs. Some of these men are just going to be even worse off. They were working as fast food workers. They didn't have the professional status that some of the middle-class professional women had. And I think the conflict in those families could be much greater than it was before.
Considering the backdrop of the economic shock of the COVID-19 pandemic and whatever further economic fallout still lies ahead, some have wondered whether global migration may be curtailed in the coming years. DeParle says that just the opposite is more likely to be true.
If the pandemic ends up exacerbating global inequality, which it well may, if it hurts developing countries more than it hurts wealthy countries, that would create an even greater incentive to migrate, a greater economic incentive. I think the underlying motivations for migration in the long run won't change. I mean, the West is still aging. It's going to need labor as its economies recover. People in poor countries are going to need jobs. The technology to spread the word and to transport people around the world will still be there. I imagine global migration will continue to be a dominant force in the world. Although I do have to say this pandemic in the short term has stopped it more than I ever imagined anything could.
Despite the difficulties faced at the moment by global migrants and the loved ones who depend on the money they send home, DeParle says it's possible that some good may come out of the pandemic for migrants.
One of the nice surprises for me has been how much respect people have had for delivery personnel, Uber drivers, grocery store clerks in recent weeks. I mean, those of us who already appreciated them have appreciated them even more, and I think others have found a newfound appreciation for them. I do think there's a potential for the immigrant community to be included in that. God knows so many of them do so much for us.